and I'm hoping I won't disappoint. But what I want to do today is actually have a conversation. I don't want to stand here, and talk you through a presentation. I'll be doing a little bit of that, but we want to try and get some kind of conversation going in terms of what you think an inclusive leader is, should be, in the context of your own organisations and wider. And I'd like to have that conversation today, if that's okay with yourselves. So, just a little bit about me, very quickly. I have over 20 years' experience in a number of sectors in HR, OD and inclusion, both in the UK and I've worked also internationally. I've worked, as I said, in various sectors. I was an advisor to the Home Secretary for about 3.5 years in policing on inclusive diversity in the policing sector. So I've had a little bit of I have the scars from working in the civil service, as well now as working in the higher education sector, which is a fantastic place to be. I'm passionate about fairness, justice, and equality, and I believe that inclusive leadership is not overcomplicated. I think for me, inclusive leadership is about being brave. I think it's about standing up for what you believe as an individual. And it's about taking people with you on that journey of becoming more an inclusive organisation. I also believe that creating diversity is not just about having lots of policies, having lots of strategies. I'm sure we've all been in organisations where we take consultants that come in a lot of money to develop a strategy only for it to sit on a shelf. For me, diversity and inclusion is about creating a sense of belonging. And that means creating a sense of belonging for everybody, regardless of who you are, what background, LGBT, disability, mental health, invisible disabilities, everything. And I believe that an inclusive leader is somebody who creates that environment for people to prosper. So, it's a bit of fun. And just for kids, this is not party political. This is not, I know we've got elections coming up tomorrow. This is about people and their leadership style. We've got 3 leaders here, some similar, some very different. When we talk about inclusive leadership, it matters what we say. It matters the words we use, and it matters the actions we take. Now, having worked in a number of organisations over the years, I learned very quickly when you go into a leadership position that people watch your every move, whether even if you believe that they're watching you or not, and they will read into things. When you say something, they will read into that. If you have people that you're leading in an organisation, they will want to look up to you, they will want to try and some people will try and emulate you as a leader. You know, that's what happens in organisations. And when we look at these 3 leaders, you know, I'm sure we can look at a number of challenges and a number of challenging things that they've said that have had a major impact, either in the communities that we live in or wider policies that are being developed. So what I want to do today is have an interactive conversation with you all around what you think inclusive leadership is. I'm not going to go into this, but you'll have the slides after to kind of look and kind of think about what is inclusive leadership. That's just one definition. But for me, I think inclusive leadership is what you believe is inclusive. And everybody is very different. We come from all walks of life. We come from all walks and backgrounds in terms of the biases that we bring. Everybody has biases. Absolutely everybody. I just don't believe anybody that says they don't have biases. The key is, in a leadership position, how do you manage those biases? And how do you actually bring them to value diversity, to increase productivity, to enhance people's performance, to increase morale and motivation? And that's really important. So before we go into the kind of heart of the presentation, I'd like us to get to know each other a little bit better. And for me, that's what being inclusive is about. If I stood up here and talked for an hour, that wouldn't be very inclusive. So what I want to do is get you guys to have some conversations with each other, 5 to 10 minutes, and then have some interactive feedback before we go into the presentation. I'd like to have a think about what you think inclusive leadership is. Are you an inclusive leader? And let's have some chats and house rules here. Let's be open and honest, and let's have some good discussions, because for me, in order to understand where you are on that journey to becoming an inclusive leader, you've got to be open and honest with yourself. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, when you have to actually really put a mirror up to yourself and say, actually, I did favour that person a bit more than that person. Actually, I don't feel comfortable with that person. You have to ask yourself why. And that's really, really important. What are the key characteristics of inclusive leadership? I'll try and tell you what I think they are in a bit, but actually what I would like to do is I would like you to have a conversation. So either if you could just speak to the people next to you in 2s or 3s, and I'll come back to you in 5 to 10 minutes or 7 minutes. Clearly, lots of talk about inclusive leadership, which is great. What I'd like to do is just get some feedback from different areas of yourself. Tell me what organisations you work for, which you just give me very quickly a bit of response to these 3 points and we can start the presentation. Who'd like to start? Go for it. I told you I'd pick up somebody.
Morning everyone, I'm Jane Siemens and my colleagues are Carrie and Ian. One of the things, we talked about all of this, but if you want to show us, just a very quick reflection about sometimes, three of us are talking about how we feel like we can be non-inclusive if we're in a situation we've got a transaction task, it needs to be done, it needs to be quickly, and we can be quite direct. That's what we need to make very inclusive. And then the second part of that is actually feedback that I had yesterday. I didn't feel great about that. They were thanking me for being direct with my stress, and it's a real learn that actually what I think is my little perspective on that situation. So we really need people on open mind and work in that situation.
I'm the Professional Services Manager at County Council, and I think I recognise in myself that I can be anybody that knows me, I can be very direct, I'm quite happy to make decisions, but sometimes I'm not reflective enough, I'm maybe not good at the attention to detail bit, so therefore I know that I need, whenever I've got a big project, we have that mix of people around me with those other skills that are perhaps more reflective, more attention to detail, more analytical than I am. And they know that I appreciate their different skills and that challenge back, so that between us we get a better result on whatever project it is, and we can, people tend to volunteer for the bits of work that they're good at as well, and that for me works really well.
Put your hands up. Let's be honest here. This is a little bit. How many times have you sat on interview panels, for example, and somebody's walked in? This person reminds me. This person is, this is going to be the one, really. And everybody else kind of goes a little bit out on it. Yeah, okay. That's fine. And I think that's my point. I think inclusive leadership and becoming an inclusive leader is about looking at yourself. And it's about looking into the areas where you don't really want to look, I'm being honest. Because we all have biases. And I'd like to tell you a very quick story before we go on. My daughter, she She is 11 years old. She was 11. At school, she was racially abused. She was called names 4 or 5 times. At one point, racially attacked. When I went to the head teacher to talk about this, he just did not accept it. Now, the reason I'm saying this, it could be somebody who's got a disability. It could be somebody who's got a mental health issue. And we all know mental health and the challenges that that brings in our organisations and in our personal. But the key was, even with myself, I looked at this gentleman and thought, I don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's a horrible individual. He wouldn't be a head teacher. But he just was not self-aware of understanding what the other person was actually going through. That's when we talk about inclusive leadership. So I actually had to give him free training for this, which is great. So, but from my perspective, that's just a very small example of when you sometimes, as a leader, have to look back and say, actually, maybe I could have done things very, very differently because I just don't understand. Anybody else? I'm going to pick on my old team over there, Sam and Tara at the back there.
Well, we spoke about the characteristics mostly, so I'm from the UC, sorry, by the way. So, two colleagues either side from higher education, so a bit of diversity there in terms of the sectors. So we spoke about characteristics, and it's important to be a communicator. Somebody's already mentioned self-reflection, which was really, really important. Yeah, being able to adapt. My colleague here, my new friend, had a good example about she's a lecturer and has a diverse range of students within a lecture situation, and actually being able to include everybody within that particular setting as well, and the challenges around that.
So we talked about leadership and as a task to not say. So the task is paid to anyone and organizations and not make the task for our company. Have the value and obviously one and I think it's very important the leadership festival. So again, skill sets, the try to get the best out of people. But sometimes a lot is very important because we are and for example, we say, yeah, we would like to today discuss this will happen. And someone says something or has the courage to say something, and we say, oh, that's fine, but don't speak about artificial barrier and the capacity and also emotional intelligence, something that you have or don't have enough emotional intelligence that you would need self-reflection, probably try to do in a very environment that don't do anything about it. Be reflective on how we can take it forward, how we can change ourselves, how we can change our time. Nothing will help speakers.
Yeah, some characteristics of leadership go back to the three photographs.
I'll go back to it.
For me, two of the key ones are integrity and empathy. To be an inclusive leader, very different advice. Sometimes you have to be and require a tough call. So if you lack integrity, truthfulness, honesty,
want to go back to those. Who thinks this guy's an inclusive leader?
He does.
Absolutely critical point. Not self-aware at all. You know, the whole world very much thinks it's very inclusive. That is an absolutely critical point because he thinks he's inclusive too. Who thinks this guy's an inclusive leader? Why? Why?
Because of his actions and the things he says. Because of his actions and the things he says are very positive.
Yeah.
Very awareness.
What about this guy? This is not about vote for or anything. This is just about people's leadership styles.
The lack of integrity in particular.
How many times have we been in an organisation and a restructure is happening? Sure, before being there. And that phrase is talked about, oh, they're looking after themselves. We're all in HR, pretty much. How many times has that phrase been said? Oh, management, looking after themselves, but what's going to happen to us? I've heard it. Said it. I'm being honest with you. You know, if I'm being very frank and honest, you know, it does happen. So leadership for me is about showing those traits of integrity and honesty. And not just saying those things, I think living and breathing those things are very, very important. Because people do watch what you do as a leader. And I learned that, I've got scars with that. And I'll give you a very quick example. I worked at Derbyshire Finance Associates for 5 years, as director of HR and various other work. And we were going through restructure. And somebody I knew very well, I made a very generalized kind of conversational comment to say, oh, when are you thinking of retiring? And that was nothing to do with the fact that it was restructuring. I just generally had it said it over a coffee. But the individual saw that as, what does that mean? He's in a leadership position. He's in charge of the restructure. Does he mean he wants to get me out? But for me, during my leadership journey, I did not realize the impact of my words. Then I see this chap very upset. Then what have I done? What have I done now? Normally my wife that does that. And then it was fed back to me that he said that, but I was feeling really vulnerable. I was feeling really, really worried. And I thought you were going to get rid of it. And I thought, so what you say really matters. And for me, being inclusive would have been thinking, what are his plans? What are his challenges happening at the moment? So, key traits of an inclusive leader then. Visible commitment. I think being authentic as a leader is very, very important. Don't say and do things that you do not believe. I will now, as a leader, stand up for things when it is not the most popular thing to do. Because I think as a leader, that is what you need to do. I think a true leader is seen and heard at a time of adversity. Leaders in good times, they're just steering the ship. It's when things are challenging or when a true leader actually shows their true worth. So having that authenticity in your leadership style, whether you manage people or not, this is not about managing people. This is about you are leaders in your organisation, in your own right. Humility, really, really important. Being humble. Again, I'll ask you a question. How many times have you seen people get into leadership positions? My God, this has created a monster here.
I think your slide with the what I saw was arrogance, confidence, arrogance.
Absolutely. Do you think Donald Trump's humble and
He thinks he is.
Barack Obama, do you think he's humble and had humility? You don't think so?
He had a vision of how he wanted the world to be, and he imposed his vision on the world. He was no more humble than are there able to be just expressed in a different way?
Okay. Do you think he took more people with him or than Trump or others?
Considering the votes, no, I mean,
Interesting.
you know, if you're talking about taking thought leaders with you, possibly,
Yeah.
in terms of taking the people you're supposed to lead, you know, you didn't.
Well,
Otherwise, they would have voted for Trump.
Okay.
But he didn't compete.
Well, it's again
No,
political.
it's
This is what I was
legacy.
worried about. This one as well. But for me, let's put this into the context of an organisation. If we had, and this is not bashing Mr. Trump.
But he's done a date of presidentship anyway, so he couldn't stand for the next
That's
election.
right, yeah.
So hence he couldn't compete with Trump anyway. There was no re-election possibility for him. Hence that comparison.
His legacy was the reason the Americans voted for Trump rather than
Well, we're getting into politics here. Let's.
Female and that.
Oh no. Right, let's move on. Okay. But my point was that was just an example. I could have put anybody in there. I could have put lots of different leaders. I could have put Mahatma Gandhi. Could have put Nelson Mandela. I could have put anybody. Right. For me, humility is really, really important as a leader. Now, this is just my view. You know, people are leaders in their own right. You've got to be aware of your own bias. I have biases. Everybody has biases. The worrying thing is when they become dangerous. The worrying thing is when you don't recruit somebody because they're wrong, or you don't want to give that promotion to the woman because she's got a family, so she might not be able to commit, or you don't want to give it to somebody who is different looking, maybe wears the hijab, because of what we read in the media. Yeah? These are biases that are created, that are filtered in, and we are programmed from a young age to have these biases, sadly. And that is where we as individuals, as leaders, need to do the hard work. We have got to look at ourselves and say, what are those biases? And how can we deal with them effectively? Curiosity about others. This is a really interesting one. For me, a good inclusive leader listens. Doesn't do a lot of talk. Listens carefully. Listens to what people need. As a strong leader, you will do what you need to do in the vision that you've got set. Going back to our point, you have a vision. Say the same about Mr. Trump. But actually, listening and taking action is two different things. When you listen to people, you have to then go back to this bias and say, actually, I think I'm wrong there, and I've got to do something to be able to change the way we're heading, otherwise we are going to go in the wrong direction. Cultural intelligence. I've worked in Lincoln now for about, just going over 3 years. I've worked in different cities. I've worked in Leicester, I've worked in London, I've worked in Hong Kong. I've worked in many cultural places. And one of the challenges I get is when we say, why haven't we got more diversity in organisations? Oh, we're in Lincoln. But actually, we are becoming a global industry, whatever industry you're pretty much in, whether that be Siemens, whether that be HE, whether that be whatever organisation. In order to become competitive and to survive, you have now got to become in a global mindset. You can't become a global mindset if you don't have cultural intelligence. You've got to be able to understand. You could be doing business with people in China, in Hong Kong, in India, Malaysia, wherever you're doing it. If you haven't got that cultural intelligence, actually you may lose contracts. You may lose great talent. Talent doesn't have no colour, doesn't have no gender, doesn't have no boundaries, doesn't have, Google are now employing people with autism to solve the problems that other people can't. They're actually employing people with autism, with disabilities, because they have a different skill set to be able to solve those complex problems that other human beings can't even look at. That, for me, is when diversity takes it to the next level. Effective collaboration. to me, you can't be an inclusive leader if you're not collaborative. You might be a CEO, you might be a director, you might be a manager, whatever you are, but at some point you're going to have to collaborate with others to be able to get things done. As soon as you stop collaborating, that is when you lose your audience. That's really, really key to remember. So the business case for inclusive leadership. Question to you all. Do you think we could be more inclusive in our organisation? Can somebody give me a couple of examples where, with no names or anything, but where we've got, for example, it's not being inclusive? And I'm not talking about kind of directive leadership, I'm talking about actually when you've seen things happen and you thought, oh, that's not very inclusive. I don't feel comfortable with that.
I mean, not now, but previous role that I had in large corporate, I was responsible for culture change. And one of the biggest things that was around diversity. It always comes up with great, but that's not what we do. I think when you start to get behind that, then you find what the norms for that part of the organisation are, and that's where diversity. And the leadership just continuing with what they believe is inclusive, but actually it's just that organisation. And that was promotion of female, even fair promotion. The idea that one type of engineer was better than another. Somebody from a certain background was always going to be better than somebody else. And those biases were there, and they were all viewed.
Well, I thank you for that. I did a number of years in the NHS, and does anybody remember the Mid-Staffordshire inquiry that happened? Lots of people died. You all remember that? Sadly, lots of people in a hospital, patients died. And that was because the culture of fear was there. You couldn't raise anything, fear of basically barrage with insults for why haven't you done this, why haven't you done that. People were dying in corridors because people in leadership positions were not thinking inclusively, they were not taking people with them on that journey, they were not engaging in positive leadership values and positive leadership traits. And people died. And that does happen. You know, that's the extreme end of it. Sadly, I've been in organisations where actually their life and death is a result of poor leadership. I've worked in acute hospitals where, you know, leaders, as in senior consultants, have not been able to communicate in the right way, which has led to a downfall in people's services they're receiving. You know, and these are people's lives here. So it can be that serious when you're in leadership. You've all heard of the Grenfell, the awful tragedy in Grenfell, and you all would have heard that Danny Cotton, who I did some work with actually a few years back, she's actually had to resign. Yeah, she's a leader. And actually, she didn't resign after the incident. She resigned because of something she said. I go back to my point around what you say as a leader matters. She may not have meant it. Having worked with her, I'm sure she did. But what she said, that's it. The impact was done. So, as a leader, it's really important that we think about the other person that we're talking to and try and put ourselves in this. So, if we don't think of inclusive leadership and we're not inclusive, you're not going to be able to innovate. Goes back to your point. We've always done it that way. You know, Blockbuster Videos went out of business. We've always done it that way. And they had a chance to buy Netflix, by the way. Biggest mistake they ever made. Not buying Netflix. So, you're a startup, not bothered about you. As it happened, they finished their business. To activate diversity, I'd like to remember that word, activate. In order to activate it, to bring it to life, you've got to have inclusion. You've got to think about the teams you're managing. They don't just come to work. They've got families. They've got children. They have other interests. Yeah, I'm not saying you just say, come on, do all that, don't get any work. But I'm guaranteeing, if you are inclusive, if you are thinking about their needs, they will work a lot harder. They will go out their way. I won't name these people, but I know the leaders in my mind who I would have gone through brick walls for. And one sticks out in my mind particularly well. I did 12 months at Her Majesty's Inspection itself. And I worked with a chap called Sir Ronnie Flanagan, who was the ex-Chief Constable of Northern Ireland, but he was the Chief Inspector. This is a true story. I went into a workshop on counter-terrorism, and I was told very subtly by another senior leader, maybe you want to go and have a coffee on this one. True story. You and Adam want to go and have a coffee? You don't need to be in this session. Come on, but I'm a professional. What I talk about inclusive leadership is Ronnie. He wasn't there. When he found out, it was all hell broke loose. The easy thing would have been to conform and not do anything. The easy thing would have been is not to rock the boat. The easy thing would have been to say, oh, I'm not going to cheese up half my staff because of this. The chap that told me to do it said, please, we've got to have a coffee. This is not the right leadership style, by the way, but I could hear him having authority. Now, for me, what that said to me as an individual, I was relatively junior in my tenure in leadership. Wow, this guy I can work with. This guy I'll follow. That is what it means to stand up sometimes as an inclusive people when you have to deal and stand up for the most vulnerable of our staff, or whether it be our students, whether it be anything like that. That's really key. So, just a couple. We've talked about favouritism. Now, you know something, that is the hardest thing not to do. I've got 3 kids. Favourite, most probably, yeah. Right? Still love them all, right? I'm being honest here, right? We all, as human beings, have those tendencies. We are attracted to people that look like us, that talk like us, that behave like us. But that's okay sometimes, as long as we acknowledge that that is some of the challenges we have. The key is, how do you improve as a leader? And meaning to that is that you say, right, where are my areas of challenge? And I'm going to do something about that. So, one thing might be is to say, so for me, I did not know a lot about LGBT plus colleagues. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm going to say the wrong thing or do something wrong. So I made it my business to grab coffee with a colleague of mine who's transgender. And you know something? Best thing I ever did. Absolutely best thing I ever did. I learned so much, became very good friends, and before I wouldn't have even dreamt of doing such a thing. I would have been fair to everybody, but actually I wouldn't have been fair because I didn't understand what their challenges and concerns were. So I think sometimes my plea to you is if there is somebody different in your organisation, which you don't have to say, sometimes you're uncomfortable or you feel, I don't know what to say to this person, I'm going to say something wrong. So let's have coffee. Let's have coffee. Tell you what, let's meet once a month and let's have a coffee for an hour or half an hour, 45 minutes to learn something different. That will really help. That gets rid of your biases. That's really important. Discount alternatives. How many bosses have we worked for that said, I'm not interested in that? This is what I want to do, and that's what we're going to do. How does it make people feel? Okay. Value.
Excluded. Excluded.
Do you then want to go and increase your productivity for that person? From 5 o'clock, are you out that door? Yeah. You're at work then because you have to be to pay the mortgage. Right? We're at work more than we are at home. So I make it my business now. If I'm not happy, I'm out. No reflection on anybody or anything else. I'm not trying to change the world. But you as an individual also have to understand that there's many people in your organisation with different needs. An inclusive leader will be one who care about those individuals. And caring about those individuals is very, very important. That doesn't mean you're not professional. That doesn't mean you're not directed. That doesn't mean you don't get things done. That doesn't mean it's all come by on my lord and you're sitting around and doing, singing songs. Yes, we deliver things, we get things done. I had to get rid of people. I had to put people on performance. But actually, we can do it in an inclusive way. Because they are the people who will go out into the organisation, out of the organisation. They will be the mouthpiece. Forget Trustpilot or Glassdoor or whatever it is. Bad-mouthing an organisation is got the biggest damage you can have, and you will lose time. So, I want to very quickly talk about microaggressions. Does anybody know what microaggressions are? Yeah? So, I've used race as an example, but there's disability, gender, LGBT issues, anything mental health. So microaggressions are those everyday interactions or insults that people have to deal with that are under the surface. So the best way to explain this is an example. I can give these, and these are true examples, so I'm not kind of making these up. When I did my time at my student spectrum, I went to I won't mention the police service. I went to a police service, and I was the assistant inspector. And I had a colleague of mine with me, and in the police sector. This is old or whatever, but they were there to help in doing the inspection. Obviously, I'm not one to notice. My colleague Steve, great guy, gotcha. He said, "I'm getting out of the taxi." And when you have an inspection, I'm sure you've all had some kind of inspections, and when somebody comes to do the inspection, everyone's running around, trying to think, "Oh my God, we've got to please these people." So I've dropped, like I normally do, I've dropped my briefcase and everything's gone everywhere in the taxi. So I'm pulling it, talking to him. I said, "Steve, you go in." He goes, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah, you go in, I'll be in a minute." And the PA for the chief constable comes down to meet us. She automatically assumes that Steve is the assistant inspector. And I'm the assistant. So she goes and says, "Oh, you must be the assistant inspector." He's looked at me horrified. "Oh, bloody hell, this is not very good." Right? I've just looked at my mum. Then I've gone all the way up, and then I met the chief. Obviously, the chief constable knows the way. If you didn't, then that wouldn't be good. Then I met. So with microaggressions, they're everyday things that can happen that are very subtle, that might not be intentional, but have a huge impact. And as an inclusive leader, you have to be aware of those microaggression behaviors, and that's really, really important. You've got ways in order to do that. So micro assaults are the overt type of racism, sexism, not liking somebody because of a disability, or how many times have people been off with depression, and how many times have maybe we've said it or other people said, "It's just an excuse to get some time off, isn't it?" They're off with stress. Yeah? So when they come back into the environment, they might be on medication, they're automatically feeling on the back foot, they don't want to be there. So the overt stuff is your name calling. Now, I can live with that because I know where I stand. The micro insults are the ones that do the everyday damage that you just can't put your finger on. And as inclusive leaders, we have got to be aware of any of our staff are doing that. This is not about telling people off. This is about talking to people and saying, right, we need to do some training. We need to talk to you. What you're doing is not right. How many times in an organisation have you said, got that clique over there? I'm not welcome over there. I just don't feel as though I belong in that group. I have, I know other people have. The other thing is, when we are dealing with different diverse staff, we go back to that point of you understanding their identity, their culture. They don't just come to work to be a data manager or head of HR or whatever you might have in your organisation. They come to work as Umar or Julie or Sam or Tara. They're different. They are all very different people. They have different needs. They have different worries. So we as inclusive leaders need to make sure that. The final type is micro-invalidations. So I've used race as an example because it's easier to use one than try and put lots of different examples. You can relate this to all: disability, gender, sexual orientation, mental health, and all sorts. Is when people's experiences and skills are not recognised for what they bring to the table. That might mean across the board that you suddenly start to feel excluded. You start to feel, I'm not valued here. So what do? Those people that can, they're good talent, will pick up their bags and say, thank you very much, I'm on. There's a reason why people want to go and work for the likes of Google. There's a reason they want to go and work for the likes of some big corporations that really invest in this. How many times does the diversity in HR budgets training get cut when we look at saving money? Go on, put your hand up if you've been in that position. And we can save 20 grand there, can't we? Save 30 grand there. Yeah, thank you for your honesty. The biggest mistake you could make is not investing in this. Because what we forget is we put diversity over here, we put people over here, and then we want them to go and deliver these huge projects and bring us millions of pounds in revenue. Well, you're going to need people to take with you on that journey. They've got to be your soldiers fighting with you on that war. When you have micro-invalidations that take place, it's damaging. I'd like to talk very quickly about mental health. When this happens, the mental health of individuals deteriorates day by day because you're not valued. You are not somebody who feels they're part of that team. What tends to happen is that you will find performance surfing from a HR perspective. How many HR professionals? You're all HR professionals, right? Is that about right? No? No? Who's not a HR professional? You manage people or you have interact? Yeah, okay. When you don't do this, you are going to have more people on performance, you're going to have higher grievances, you're going to have more employment tribunals. I guarantee you this, you will have more employment tribunals. Sadly, those organisations that don't learn from this are the ones that then end up getting their checkbook out to have settlement agreements. They're the ones, and sadly I've been through enough complex investigations in my time to know that honestly, all it would have taken is to try and have some positive conversations with them. But that's where humility, ego, arrogance as leaders comes into play. I'm not letting them get away with that. Right, we're going to have them, let's take them all the way, let's fight it. Sometimes they might be right. Sometimes there may be frivolous cases that are not really have that view, don't have that view. Well, as soon as you start to do that to people, where there's micro-validation taking place, you might win the case, but I tell you this, your organisation's reputation for the future talent that comes there will be gone. I know I'm networked. I will talk to people before I join an organisation. And I've turned down jobs based on the fact that a trusted colleague or trusted colleagues of mine said, no, do not go there, don't touch it. You are going to suffer. And that's the way things work. We need to be clear. So some examples. I won't go through these in detail.
Umar,
Yes. Yeah, sure.
I've been paying
Oh, sorry, black, Asian, minority, ethnic. Yeah, so I've just used that as an example. But again, that's the same thing if you're a woman, if you've got disabilities, or anything like that. And mental health, by the way, is the invisible, also the epidemic that we are dealing with organisations and society. Where some of us in this, majority of people in this room will have some kind of mental health challenge at some point or other. Or maybe I'll simply I'm going to put myself on the thing. I have suffered it. I deal with it. And it is hard. When you're in a leadership position, it is an extremely hard thing to do. Because what happens is that you have all these thoughts in your mind. And you have all these microaggressions coming at you as well. Wow, it just triples and quadruples. It just becomes very, very difficult. So these are just some kind of examples, and you'll get the slides to these. But, you know, I'm sure you've all seen some diversity training. You've all been through some form of diversity training, and, you know, you'll have these images come up of different people, and you'll have a black guy with a hoodie on, and you'll ask, well, what do you think of this? What is he? You know, they're the assumptions that people make. And today, for me, this is not about a diversity session. This is about trying to spark something inside you guys to understand when you go away today and say, right, I'm going to just, I'm going to be in the car on the way home, I'm just going to have a think about and go into a place where I don't really want to go. I'd like you today, on the way home, whatever time you want to do it, have a cup of tea, is go into that place and think, have I got some of those biases? You are not like that person. I'll be very honest. Do I feel uncomfortable with that? Do I feel uncomfortable with, you know, dealing with somebody who's like Asian? Can I speak to somebody in a job? What's all the media saying? You know, are they all like? Let's go into those places. That for me is how you. It's just like inside you, looking at those areas where you don't want to go. We've all got those places. So, some practical things. And again, I'd like to have some interaction here. Is for an organisational level, what you've got to do is don't play lip service to conclusion. Go back to my point of budgets. It's really, really important that we invest in this. Because if you don't, you're going to have a lot more problems. And if you are in a position in the organisation where you have an influence, I guarantee you, take it in this direction, and you will not go wrong. In terms of your staffing, in terms of your recruitment, in terms of your performance, in terms of your reduction in grievances that you've had. You've got to recognise the link between covert behaviours, subtle and covert behaviours, and the impact on people's emotional well-being. You know, it's the comments that are made that impact health and well-being in the workplace. It's the comments that they're off express. They're just too hard to handle. Let's look at a plan to get rid of them. Sadly, you know, that is what happens. You know, a restructure is created to get rid of people who are a problem. Create inclusive policies and systems. So as HR professionals and other professionals, you are in an extremely powerful position in these organisations to create inclusive policies. This is not about doing equality impact assessments and just ticking a box. This is about you really making a difference to the lives of people in your organisation. And you are in a very powerful position because you write the policies. A lot of the time, you know, whatever comes through HR, senior leaders will go, yeah, okay, that's fine, HR said it's okay. So you are in a very powerful position to become inclusive champion. Create diverse oversight of internal auditing. We have auditing for everything, don't we? Everything we have auditing for. Why not for this? Why not look at the data? Why not look at the figures and looking, where are our grievances? Why are we having those grievances? Let's look at the exit interview data. How many times do people leave an organisation? And if they're a difficult character, tell us what we're going to do with that information. Let them go. That's what happens. Don't have cliques in your departments. Make an active drive to get rid of those cliques. Because cliques create exclusionary behaviours and environments. You know, somebody might already not be feeling included, and suddenly, if there's a night out, and suddenly you find out, I'm being there, I'm not the only one that's invited. But that might be different. But, you know, oh, I didn't get invited. Why didn't I get invited? This. So your mind starts to tick over. For human beings, this is what will happen. Impact assessments. Put your hand up if you do impact assessments in your organisation. Council? Anybody else? Reggie? Do any in the Siemens? Do you quality impact assessments?
Yeah, the
Specific groups?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's a starting point.
Starting.
Run a journey.
Okay. Okay. So now for me, they're just a tool. They're just a tool to become an inclusive group. But if you are chairing a committee, I know I do, and I will do, first thing I'll ask is, also, do you have access? And normally you'll find that people say, well, yeah, we don't. Normally the ones that start shuffling and changing and stop, we go, oh, we haven't done anything else, and then they kind of backtrack. Impact assessments need to be done at the time of writing the policy, not when the policy is done. That is really, really key. And as an inclusive leader, that is something I hope you take away from today's session. That when you are writing a policy, developing a strategy, you're bringing equality impact assessment basic principles into that.
Some years ago, I was involved in a task with a colleague where we had to equality impact assess new plans and processes. And my rather clever colleague, because I sat there thinking, well, it all looks all right to me. So we had a box for each of the areas of diversity that we consider. And, you know, I was thinking, that looks all right to me. And then my rather clever colleague said, well, let's pretend, look at it. How are we, if we wanted to discriminate against this group, how would we do that? And it was a very clever idea because it completely altered the thinking. So rather than looking for stuff to fit that it was okay, we started to look at it from if we wanted to discriminate against this group of people, how would we word it? And then it didn't, there weren't only sort of tweaks here and there, but it found stuff that we wouldn't have otherwise found. And we were two white females out there doing it. You know, so you're looking at it, you know, are you looking at it in a similar way?
To me, you can all think inclusively about the opposite. If you don't know about a certain particular background with that couple, go and find out. An inclusive leader, you need to go and find out. If you were going for a job interview, you would go and do your research. You know, as an inclusive leader, being an inclusive leader is not easy. It is hard work. But I guarantee, if you do all of these things, it will make a real impact. And actually, it'd be really interesting to maybe do a study and see from 12-month period to see how your morale, how your staff change in terms of so that's really, really key.
But I think the one thing that you also need to be aware of with all those things, you're still treating people and assigned groups, but people are individuals. Yeah. So yes, you take the bigger picture into account, but I think you still need to see the person in their own life with their own personality. Just because they belong to a specific group doesn't necessarily mean they have got views of that group.
Absolutely. And this is the bias that they might think that actually a person, they'll want to do that, won't they? They might not want to. You know, I'm a practicing Muslim. Saw me in the street, dressed very modern, whatever people might assume is a Muslim in the media. The other day, I think I was, the other month, I think I was praying 5 minutes in a meeting, I think somebody got a fallen over. fine, don't talk to me. You know, what's Umar doing on the floor? Is he all right? Is this a true story? What's he doing? It's fine. Come and talk to people. Talk.
You just made a really good point that you said you're a practitioner. Yeah. But there are also others of any faith
Absolutely.
who are not, who have got that faith, are assigned to that faith, but may not practice it. So how often do we become like, oh, and that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Just because they belong to a specific group, they're specific.
And we are in an environment of fear of getting things wrong. Get things wrong. You know, the people who sit there and barrage you for saying the wrong thing, it's not very inclusive themselves, really. If somebody does that, it's okay, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it. It's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to say the wrong thing. But that only comes if you create that inclusive environment. And you can all do that in your organisation. You can all create those inclusive environments where it is okay to say the wrong thing. You're not going to be taken to HR and taken down a disciplinary route straight away. It's conversations that take place. Maybe some training you can give people. Yeah. To individuals. Sorry.
It's simple things that just got me thinking then what the lady said at the front there. It's simple things as well, like making assumptions that all young people are lazy and feel entitled and older people can't use IT. It is things like that, isn't it? Just everyday language that just drops in there that just eats away and
There's the microaggression stuff.
Or the big thing at the moment with menopause.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
great that everybody talks about menopause, and I think it's very important. However, my needs might be completely different to somebody else in the same age group who's also going through the same process, but may experience it completely differently.
or
But
have no
does
sign.
anybody talk to me on an individual basis? What kind of needs I have? Oh no, you're a woman and you must be menopause. You know, just to give you an example of the latest thing, and I think that applies across all the elements of the diversity spectrum.
So,
I would just like to reiterate, I mean, coming from South Africa and putting in forms in this country about race, I object to as an HR professional. I find it insulting, I know what the intentions are meant to be behind it. And so my question really is in terms of how do you measure, tonight, and folks don't rightly because your title is inclusive leadership, that it presupposes two parties. And so how do you measure the distance between your leader and your followers? And I have a certain way of doing tools that I will use that are different from the standard boxes. So I'm really interested in how you measure the quality of the distance, the proximity between two parties, and whether our standard sort of package of, well, we tick the boxes. Because say with Grenville, I wonder whether those leaders felt they were inclusive. And they may have rated themselves. But Obama came up with this. We probably rate him as inclusive. His language was more inclusive. And yet, we know that he. So, how do you measure the consequences of inclusive leadership with presumption of inclusive leadership and the effects on followers or their perceptions? Because the subtitle of your talk was then doing good to others. But how do you know? How do we know we do good to others? And how are we measuring that? So that's sort of, and it's the standard boxes, whether you this, that, this one, that isn't really doing justice to a much more subtle, nuanced discussion, just as we're looking at individuals.
So for me, it's a very good question. The old chestnut around monitoring has been around for a long time, so you need to monitor. For me, that data just gives you data. That gives you data of how many women you've got in the organisation, you've got the gender pay gap, ethnicity pay gap, lots of things that help you to try and analyse maybe some of the challenges you have at a very numerical level. That's the numerical level of numbers. For me, I think the way that you find out where the gap is to talk to people. I'm a big believer in focus groups, I'm a big believer in talking to individuals and trying to get that feedback and understanding of how do they feel about this organisation. And the key bit I bring back to my start of my presentation is, have they got a sense of belonging? That is really key. You could have the Rolls Royce of diversity policies and inclusive policies, and people don't believe it, people don't live and breathe it, and actually they're a complete waste of time and money.
Get the role of power and fear in organizations.
Yeah.
How open are people going to really be honest, truthful?
So I go back to my point.
Supposing that they'll be honest with you over a cup of coffee.
Well, you have got to create that environment. It is you as leaders who create that environment. Because the mid-staffs thing I just talked about, the NHS, where people died, they didn't have that environment. So people were not raising and escalating things because they were in fear of being told off and being disciplined. So what they did was they left it and people died.
So how do you know when you arrived at that point?
I don't think
what tools are you using then to know that you've arrived at a point where the fear is not predominant and where people are open to talk?
I don't think you'll ever get to a final solution to that, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think you can get to a final solution. But going back to the role I spoke about earlier on culture change, I went to an organisation that measured stuff, but I didn't really know why it was measured. But for HR in particular, it was measured usual things, and there was nice bar charts. But I was the head of ethics with the challenge of changing culture and help create that safe environment for employees where they could challenge to raise the rest of it. So what we tried to do was to pull together lots of disparate measurements, do the analysis of those, but then test the results of the analysis by going back out of it and actually talking to people. Because, and what we found was what the data showed wasn't necessarily how people felt or what was really going on in organisations. So we were able to change the way in which the organisation was using and reporting its data. We were stopping just reporting data, we were reporting what's actually going on, but only the data is an indicator of what might be going on. But you can't get to an absolute, is it that we improve by 50%, 80%, whatever it is, but you can find those indicators and test them.
Yeah, I agree. I think what depends what you measure is what you see. Yeah. So in a relationship, what are we measuring? Are we measuring feelings, or are we measuring across issues of parity or power? Are we measuring across the what we call multiplexity in our relationships? Do we know beyond just task function? Are we measuring about the time frame of a relationship? How long has there been a history? So are we measuring the right things? What you'll begin to see. So that to me is a significant question that has to be asked.
I think
in terms of relationship between groups and parties.
You've taken it to the next level. but that's a really interesting point. Where are we in the UK in diversity? We've been doing it for 30, 40 years, but I don't think we're not still very good at it. We're talking about the same thing. So the bit in terms of what you're talking about is the next level of where we need to aspire to get to, which is around talking about people feeling a culture of comfortableness in an organisation. Can we have a junior person go up to the CEO and say, actually, John or Joan, this is really wrong. And actually that CEO is sitting back there, issues really wrong. We need to change. So you can measure things in that way, but it is very, very difficult. Hopefully we'll get there one. So as individuals then, so some kind of what next for yourselves. Just some examples from my point of view. So recognizing that judging people based on biases, prejudice and stereotypes is unfair. We all know that. But again, this goes back to you sitting in your car or having a coffee or sitting in the garden, whatever you want to do. And really I want you to go into those places. Please, if there's one thing you want to take away from today, go into those places and think today. I've got that tendency to be a bit sexist, whatever it is. This is you. This is for you. This is not to pull out anywhere else. I've got that bias. I've got that bias around people that have got physical disability. I feel comfortable talking to somebody in a wheelchair. I've had that before, I'm being very honest. What do I say? Look, You know, you learn. Recognise that dismissive attitudes are harmful. We're all stressed. We're all very busy. You know, we've all got deadlines coming out of our ears, right? Somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, I need to," and not now, because I'm really, really busy. That person has got to walk through. That could be the last bit that finishes them off to say, "I'm good." Engage in self-reflection, what I've just talked about. When you have displayed these behaviours, it's not to beat yourself up about it. Say, okay, I'll learn. And the key is, go and have a coffee with that individual. Ask yourself what I can do to improve. What do I need to learn? And you're all here today, clearly, because you want to learn something different. Otherwise, you won't be here. So for me, it's really important that when we do go to these types of things, is you learn what you want to take away from that. What is right for you and your organisation. I think it's CIPD, continuous learning, is very, very important, obviously. But I think putting yourself outside your comfort zone is really, really important. And that's the thing today, is can you put yourself outside your comfort zone? You have to remember that. Because your comfortable areas when you're with your colleagues, who you trust, who you're okay with, the uncomfortableness comes where it's raining outside, it's not very nice, you know, and you've then got to go and deal with people who you think, "Oh, just don't ask this individual." This, for me, is avoid making assumptions and labeling individuals. We're all influenced by biases and media. We're all influenced by what we read. It's just human nature. We all have Facebook. You know, we see all sorts of things that are fake news out front of us. Yeah. There's lots of things. The key is, as a leader, how do you filter some of that nonsense out? How do you filter some of that nonsense out? How do you go into an organisation and really make a positive impact? Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." It wasn't about you. You know, you can make a difference, whatever way you want to make it. So now, this is where if you've got leaders in your organisation, you can give them a bit of a pointer. I think it's really important. If you are a leader, or if you want to speak to a leader, I speak to a number of leaders in various capacities. I've my own consultancy. I've spoken to NHS boards. I've spoken to different people at board level, all the way through to middle management. And I have some good crowds, and I have some really, really difficult crowds. I've done some difficult gigs. And when you go there and you talk about them as leaders, that's when you have a bit of shuffling in seats. You have, well, you can't do that because of this. You can't change that because of that. True leaders are ones that are inclusive. Inclusive leaders are ones that say, how can we change this? Because change never came easy. And that is where, as an inclusive leader, you have to either speak to your people in charge, or actually say, you mentioned that you started with the equality. That's a start. It's a journey. It's not a race. Educate your team and members about microaggressive behaviours and their impact. So as leaders, you have a duty to go out and do that. Whether that be you do internal, whether that be whatever you want to do. The easy option nowadays is e-learning, isn't it? Oh, we can't be taking people out of the. Get some e-learning, stick a few people on it, make the bar charts nice and going up to the board and saying, look, we've done this many e-learning, people go through the e-learning process. No. If you really want to deliver cultural change, you've got to do it from the heart. You've got to do it with a real drive to deliver that cultural change. The microaggressive things, the microaggressions, please read up on that. There's a very good book by a chap called Vinay Kandola called, it's focused on racism, but again, he's got other examples called Racism in the Workplace. Very, very practical, good book around how you look at microaggressions in the workplace for all strands of equality.
actually there's also skills boosters and a lot of
Yes.
videos of skills boosters.
Yeah.
And you go onto YouTube. There's a video out there on Michael behaviours which he's led on, and it's really interesting.
And it'd be interesting when you do watch it, then just monitoring your organisation. Almost have a bit of fun. And have a look and see in your mind, it's a bit of a microaggression behaviour, isn't it? Yeah. So that's really key to kind of get yourself and the leaders engaged. Who does psychometric testing in their organisations? What organisation?
I'm sorry, I have my own consult.
You consultants.
So I do psychometric.
Oh, you do for other organisations. Like so.
Royal Ankles, but actress selection.
What do you do with that psychometric information?
We do it more for our recruitment processes to try and get a diverse range of people in the organisation, ultimately as well to try and get everyone else to understand people's strengths and weaknesses so that we can try and make people's strengths.
Right, so what do you use psychometric testing for? The same for
It's
recruitment?
part of the selection process, but it sets the standards at which we expect people that pass those tests to be successful in training.
So you've heard of emotional intelligence? How many, can you think in your mind of somebody who you think has emotional intelligence? Am I getting nods? Yeah? How important is emotional intelligence? In order to become an inclusive leader, you've got to use these tools, I think, to give you that data, give you that intelligence, to be able to understand how can I and our leaders become more inclusive than others. These are all tools, and the recruitment process is one tool, one way to use it. For me, I use this quite a lot in teams. When I do team development sessions, when I do board development sessions, I want people to understand each other. Because if you understand each other, you become more inclusive naturally. And that's a natural way to weed people to understand where they come from. With all Myers-Briggs and different colours that we get, yeah. Again, I think that's okay, but you're still grouping people into colours. We are, you know, so it's a tool. So I don't think you should just use it just on its own. There should be a suite of tools. This is really important. As leaders, you are responsible for creating that positive environment. If you do not create that positive environment, I guarantee you will have repercussions. Whether that be out in you're paying £100,000 in employment tribunal costs, whether you're paying in reputational costs, again, measurement. How do we measure the impact of reputation? You don't want to go there, it's a sexist place to work. You lose great talent by doing that. We have the gender pay gap come out. It's all the big thing that's coming out. And then what happens? It comes out, the gap's like huge. When you go for a job, do people look at that? But I tell you what they do look at, what positive initiatives you've got in place to take women to senior management positions on the board. Wow, I'm going to go there because actually I've got a chance to get to the top because there's people that look like me that I can emulate. They've got programs in place that will allow them to get to that place. There's some places I will not even think about going to work because it's there. That might be my bias, but actually, a lot of the time, if you do your research, you can normally tell. The first thing I do is I click on the board, I click on the leadership team. Nobody looks like me there, thanks very much, see you later. Because you are trying, if you are ambitious, you want to get to that level, you might not want to, but even if you're not, does that place represent me? Is that representative of who we're serving in the community or our clients? And our Siemens, for example, worldwide organisation, we deal with people from all walks of life. Yeah? We're not inclusive in our practices, we're not global in our thinking, we're going to lose a lot of money.
Can I just ask you then about the point you made about looking at the board? So what if that organisation is trying to be inclusive, where do they start if you just take that very narrow view? Nobody looks like me, I'm not going to apply.
Well, there's two things. I'll look at a bit more than just that.
Oh, okay.
But you'll tend to look at, okay, what initiative are they doing? The first thing I'll do is I will look at and say, well, let me look at their diversity strategy. What are they? Strategies could say something, whether they do it or not. You've got to take a punt at some point. But first of all, if they haven't got one, that says a lot to me. Second of all, the good organisations that I've seen are the ones that positively shout about the great stuff that they're trying to do to make it an inclusive workplace for everybody. And we talked about menopause earlier. I've been a menopause champion. You wouldn't think it, but I have. Because I saw the impact that it was having on a number of my staff and other organisational work. I don't look at this and understand it. We were taking more people down disciplinaries and sort of performance routes because they weren't turning up to work, or there was a problem, there was challenges they were facing we weren't understanding. So I think going back to your point, we've got to look a little bit deeper. It doesn't make a difference. We're in 2020 now. You know, we still haven't got representation on board. We still haven't got representation in leadership. You know. And finally, if you realise you've made a statement or conducted a microburst meeting, acknowledge it. It's absolutely fine if you make a mistake, as you said. Acknowledge it, have a coffee, have a discussion with that individual. Say, I'm really sorry, I just want to learn a bit more. I didn't realise this. For me, that is what inclusive leader is. That is something you can really, really dig deep and think, I'm going to change my actions as a result. It is only then I can actually make that. Thank you for listening.
Do you want to put questions?
Yeah.
Okay, managing a team in the UK sense of humor that people use to become build a team before and inclusive, but that humor can be to actually pick on each other, your bottle, your bad, whatever it is. How do you balance that with these techniques that you're talking
about? I think that's a very interesting question. There's a very fine line between humour and insult. Comedians do it all the time, don't they? Well, I'm a comedian, I can't say that about religion or whatever. I think being an inclusive leader is having that emotional tolerance. And if somebody's having a laugh at somebody's disgust, I don't think that's right. I think if somebody might fall or whatever, saying that, it may be really hurting them. You can know, some people are very good at hiding that, and they'll play along with it. You've got to fit in. A bit like school, really. You've got to fit into the playground. We're no different when we come to workplace, I'll be very honest with you. It's slightly maturity, related things in the playground. But we have to, as leaders, challenge it. If we don't challenge it, then we are no different. We have to say, that's not really appropriate. They won't do it again. We've got to explain to them why. This is not about giving them a role thing. This is about saying, this is the reason I'm saying. I'm not telling you, I'm just giving you a reason. I know you weren't meaning it that way, but this is the reason. That is the question.
There's two. As a leader, you can't be there all the time. So for me, as a leader, your responsibility is to create that environment. There's two aspects to it. One is for the potential harassor to understand that whatever they say may be perceived as offensive by others. And the second aspect is for the person to feel that it's safe enough to sit down and let themselves that's and they are two difficult things to do even for one. But as I say, as a leader, you can't be there witnessing it. You can't be there.
But I think there's another aspect to it because this is something that I've observed as well, where you have that kind of banter or that kind of humour going on with people and where I thought this was appropriate, when actually those individuals involved, it was a racial comment, and one of the people was actually from a minority, and it was fine because for them too it was okay. The question I had to ask, is it okay for everybody else? Is it okay for the business admin? Is it okay if somebody else who came in, customer, a client, overheard that conversation? And I think that's where the fine line is. That kind of, and we have to have that discussion, even if they say, "Oh no, we always talk about it. It's fine between us," but it may not be fine for somebody else.
I spent 2 years with the Air Force before becoming a menopause administrator. But what I was going to say, actually, after 32 years, when I found, in that environment, that was huge. And the opposite, it is about knowing your people. And I get what you're saying, absolutely, but I think knowing the people, and if it's one-sided, it's a problem. If there's a balance where they're both bouncing off each other, or there's a group that are bouncing off each other, it's probably not a problem. I think it's about, as a manager or a supervisor or a leader, being vigilant to your team, seeing when something doesn't feel right. I don't think we always follow up.
I think the challenge is that if you are the minority in a group, it's very, very difficult to go against the grain. If you're the minority, the only woman in the group, and I worked in the fire service, very male oriented. I had to dismiss people because of taking it over that line. It's not appropriate to send pictures and emails within and make jokes about Muslims or Hindus or what. It's not appropriate. When you're that one person, you end up trying to perform. Because I go back to my inclusion bit, they don't come to work just to come to work for the income or whatever. They've got kids, they've got mortgages to pay, they have all sorts of things going on in their life, which they can't afford to stand up and sometimes say, hang on a second, what are you going on about here? They have to, because they'll think, oh, I don't want to rock the boat. How many times have I said I don't want to rock the boat? You've heard that phrase, haven't you? Just do not want to rock the boat. And I've been there in my career myself. You know, now I won't tolerate any of that. What do you just think, you know, life's too short? But you have been in positions where, you know, comments, the microaggression comments, I might not see it. Your age, you'll know where to get good grade. No, not really. I'll ask that. You know, so, well, I do like grades. So, but the point is, when I was younger, I was like, I'm not saying anything. That's a bit, that's judged me a little bit. I didn't say anything. Why would I? Just going to upset. Make it uncomfortable. And that is where I think there's inclusive leaders. There is a fine balance to take. Go back to your point. Is that if your gut is telling you that this is not right, then you need to do something about it.
Well, I think my radar might be off. I'm an engineer, and my strategy to defeat discrimination through my career has been to insult people just as much as they're insulting me, and to sexually harass someone before they sexually harass me.
Wow.
Proactive management.
This is an interesting place. Where do you work? I think
now I'm the leader. I obviously don't want to behave that way anymore, but so I want to try and learn and understand what it is and isn't appropriate.
Well, thank you for your honesty. But that is really important because right there you've got an example of somebody who's trying to be, and you're looking at yourself and being honest. That is really, you can't get to that point if you're not honest with yourself. Now, the challenge is that, we'll not condone kind of abusing anybody who want to do that. But what I would suggest is that we have to look at people as individuals. And I've worked in organisations like policing and fire rescue service, where actually I found women ended up behaving like men and trying to emulate men. It was really sad, actually. There was a very senior police officer who should act like men and be, I don't want to work for her. Generally, because you end up trying to conform too much. That is really dangerous. The inclusive leaders are those who are comfortable within themselves. Believe in your own abilities, believe in your own inclusive practices and your values and belief system. If you do that, you can't go wrong. And don't ever ignore your gut. Biggest mistake I've ever made is ignoring my gut. It's really one of the worst organisations I've worked in. So if your gut is telling you something, as long as you have the right principles and the right integrity and honesty running through you as a leader, if you're trying to do the best things for your staff, then nothing much can go wrong. Any more questions?
I think as well, someone mentioned about statistics and data, and I think sometimes organisations are led by their stats. So they're like, well, we need to recruit more women, we need to recruit more people with disability. And I think sometimes that's seen to have. How would organisations not be, I'm sure people want to be promoted and be in those positions of leadership because they're good.
Yeah.
Not because they're female, or something. So how does that balance out? I think, when one thing she said, you looked at a board and thought, but maybe that, it's that, you don't want to be recruited onto something just because or something.
And that's where positive action comes into play, where positive action has its plus points and negatives. Because people will have those biases, say, you've only got their visual declaration or you're a disability. That's where the organisation's integrity has to come into play. And they have to be recruiting people for the right reasons for the talent. Now, recruiting people, having a more diverse leadership team, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think organisations will use data to their own benefit. And they'll say, well, we don't need more women, we've got 40% over there, we're fine. We haven't got any leadership positions, we haven't got any black or Asian leadership positions, so on and so on. So, if we look at the population, Lincoln's slightly different because you haven't got a high, for example, BAME population or women you have. If you go away and look at the number of women in senior management positions on boards in Lincoln, you'll be surprised compared to the local population. So, as inclusive leaders, you've got to do what you think is right, not just for. I don't believe in political correctness. It's a lot of nonsense. I think you have to do what is right for you as a human being, but also what is right for your business. You are seen as you're a global organization. Sorry, I keep you but you will operate globally. You will want the best talent from around the world to come work in Lincoln. But actually, if you're somebody from the middle of India or wherever, but they might be a genius, they might think, okay, we're going to come, but actually, do they have that sense of belonging? Are you creating that sense of belonging for those people that are coming from the other side of America, wherever, Canada? Very different cultures, very different mindsets. So the organization's strategic drive of what they're trying to achieve. And mainly, not just about making money, this is about, are you doing the right thing?
I think on that one, in my experience, a lot of organisations, when they look to increase the number of women at executive level, or whatever it might be, they take a positive approach, and it starts to be perceived as people being promoted because they're more active. And so for me, they're treating symptoms. What they're not looking at are root causes as to why women were there in the first place. Why haven't we got 30-50% representation of women on the executive board? And look at it, because there's hardly any women instead of that. And it root cause can be things like bias amongst line managers during the recruitment process, bias within performance management. So for me, organisations have to address those negatives at the same time as the positives. If they just got the positives, change.
And we're not on a level playing. We've got to be honest, we are not on a level playing. If you look at your stats around the number of, I use BAME as an example because there's a big disparity. If you look at the number of people who apply your organisation. It'd be interesting to do this statistical analysis. The number of people that apply, who may be paying, the number of people that get shortlisted, actually the number of people who get appointed. It's like this. That tends to happen across the sectors. But we're not in a level playing field. So in order to, you can't go too much the other way, which is affirmative action, which I think has its whole host of other negative problems. I did some work in Northern Ireland a few years back in the positive action stuff to do with positive Catholics. And that has had its positives because they've got a more balanced police service now. But actually, it's also created a lot of animosity. Similar in South Africa. You know, so you can't go, for me, I don't believe you can go too far the other way. You have something in the middle. And it's always trying to aspire to achieve that. If we are not on a level playing field, otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you about this.
If we don't just people on merit, that's what we should.
Absolutely.
We should appoint people on merit. That's the only thing that and also to offer opportunities to everybody, regardless of their background. And again, those opportunities are not there yet. And until you've got that balance right, then it will sort itself out. But until you get there, that's probably another quite a few generations to come.
So finally then, can I ask you to do two things before we finish today? First thing is, please go away. Just look inside yourself and just look at where there's areas that you could potentially go into those nooks and crannies that you don't really want to go into and see how can I link that back to more inclusive. And second of all, if there is somebody in your organisation who you don't normally talk to, so that's the second thing, you don't normally talk to, who you don't normally feel comfortable because you think, well, when I talk to this, I've got nothing in common with this individual, please just say, look, not to learn anything about, just have a catch up for coffee. They might say, but actually, just do that. And I guarantee you will learn so much from different people. And that, for me, is more powerful than any diversity training you can go on. Having that. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Umar. It's been quite a stimulating session. Nice to see some interaction, which is really good. So thanks everyone for joining in and offering your views. We have got the venue for a little bit longer, so there's no immediate rush to dash on. If the pastries are still there, please take one to take away. Have we got any notices? Sorry, I forgot to ask the committee. Have we got any notices? There will be a newsletter coming out.
Should be Sunday.
Should be Sunday, so early next week should be a newsletter and some future events. We've got events lined up for January, February. So, okay, so thanks. Also, if anybody's got any don't want to be part of social media or anything like that, please let me know. Everything from committee members, sorry, I'm just checking. Right, okay, thanks so much, everybody, and